Okay.
So I'm just going to say, welcome to ADHDville.
Okay. Straight in.
Yes. Straight in. I went straight in. No mucking about. I went straight
Ducking
in.
and diving. Especially not diving. Definitely not ducking. Straight in. Head first. Hello, I'm Paul Thompson. I was diagnosed with the combined ADH and the D 10 months ago, Martin. Did you know that?
I did not. This is
You did not know
news
that?
to me.
Oh,
To me, to you. To me, to you.
to you.
And I'm Martin West, and I was diagnosed with the combined ADHD poo-poo platter in 2013. Did you know that, Paul? Did you?
I do now. So we're just here as two mates who, by coincidence, after 39, almost 40 years of friendship, discovered they were coincidence. No, it's really important to say this is an entertainment. Adult ADHD does not substitute for individualized advice from qualified health professionals, Martin. So don't take any advice from him or me. We're just here as a kind of all-inclusive ADHD park bench with room for everyone, including your doppelgangers, your alter egos, your buddy doubles, your Still here? Great. Then grab your jetpacks, everyone. Jetpacks or pedalos, space hoppers, or actually any other transportation method that comes to hand, and let us take you to ADHDville and imagine your mind.
Yeah, boy.
Pregnant pause, where we like to explore
Pregnant.
parts of the ADH and the D.
Right. And we start off, as always, in the town hall, in the mayor's office, where we, the joint mayors of ADHDville, take care of business. And this week, we are going to just talk about one thing. I'm just going to change something here. Here we go.
Rewriting the script as we.
I know. Terrible.
Agile.
I just realised that I didn't have the right sound effects loaded up. Anyway, so I was chatting to some people, and this thing of narcissism came up quite a lot, and I felt like I really wanted to talk about it. Really wanted to talk about it, and then I promised people I was going to talk about it.
Here we are.
This is it. So we're going to talk about ADHD and narcissism. It's a subject. It's a subject.
It is.
So we are going to. Where are we going to, Paul?
Oh, let's go to the coffee shop, Martin. I think I need some.
Thank you. That's great. I love that idea. I love that idea because it keeps it light. Keeps it light.
What? Yeah, exactly.
Let's bring the car round, shall we? Let's bring the car round.
I might actually get a granola bar as well.
I'm playing my acoustic ruler.
So I'm offering this time. What can I get you, Martin, at the ADHD coffee shop?
Where are we now? August. You know what? I'm just gonna get my standard green. Actually, no. I'm gonna get a watermelon and black tea.
Wow! Look at you.
That's what I've got. That's what I'm gonna have today.
Sophisticated. Okay, I'm gonna just go with like an iced tea, I think, and a granola bar. I like a granola bar.
I'm a little bit, I don't know. I'm often disappointed.
Are you?
Often disappointed.
Do you find yourself wagging your finger at them for no reason at a granola bar?
Yeah.
I find the Starbucks, right? The Starbucks, I find that their coffee makes, it fastens my how can I say? It gives
It
me problems.
fastens.
It
All right.
fastens.
It unfastens.
Yeah, it like my what do I call it? It makes me go to the
Your.
toilet.
All right.
Right, there's this weird effect on me. But Starbucks
Yes.
granola bars are outstanding. Just
All
thought
right.
I'd throw that in.
Okay.
Chat there
I've
about
I've
my.
I was having a chat about this yesterday. In fact, I
Oh,
haven't been
okay,
to a Starbucks for a very long time. Very long
okay,
time. Just not doing that anymore. I mean, yeah. Anyway, um,
okay,
all right. I want to talk about ADHD and narcissism, and I've I'm going to talk about. I'm going to do that classic thing, which is tell people what I'm going to tell them at the beginning.
okay.
I'm going to talk about my ADHD and narcissism story. Then we're going to go into ADHD and narcissism and how they connect. We're
Mm.
going to talk about types of narcissists. We're going to talk about narcissism
Ooh.
in the family, which is
Ooh.
more my little specialist area. And then at the end,
Right.
we got a little how to spot a narcissist if you have ADHD. There we go.
When I know if I want to spot a narcissist, I generally point my finger at them and shout, "Narcissist!"
Yeah, that would be a good thing to do.
Spotting. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start off with me and my mum, who I believe quite strongly has narcissistic personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an actual thing. So not just like saying, "Oh, so and so is a a narcissist," like it's a
Right.
like it's
It's thrown around
it's an
so much.
insult, right?
It's thrown around. So I've been accused of being a narcissist by at least, um, and it's like it got to the point like I started getting it out. But yeah, it's way too easy to throw around without people having
Right.
any, without it people being informed about what it really damn well is.
Right. And I will be coming on to why people with ADHD can get accused of being a
Okay.
narcissist. Because there are actually some weird little overlaps, but there's some very important differences.
Mm. Yeah, because I can see
Um,
how it can be confused, right? I can see how it can be
yeah,
confused, but the point for me is that okay, if you're going to accuse someone of it, you need to be a bit more informed, because otherwise it's not nice at all.
right, right,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So let me take you back to when I was a kid. So I'm like the eldest of two. I've got me and my brother. Um, being
Hello, Andy.
unknowingly raised by a narcissist
Mm.
and my dad, who possibly was autistic, was on the spectrum.
Mm.
I can't 100% know that must be a phone. I can't 100% know
We
that
were
for
talking
sure,
about
but
this, weren't we, before we came on the podcast? There's this general statistic is that even the average is 74% chance that it's genetic. ADHD, I mean, not
right. So
narcissism.
I
Yeah,
might have a touch of that myself.
right. Me
Yeah.
too.
So
I think.
and I can see why, and it's the only explanation that makes my mum and dad work together as a married couple for all their life. I can go, oh, that's how I can see that they actually managed to kind of get through the whole thing and how they functioned.
Mm.
Um, anyway, it was weird because I never really knew anything was wrong, but I started to suspect that it was like my mum makes very few friends. Like people seem to
Mm.
kind of come and then kind of go, "Ooh, no, I'm just gonna go off," and then that they would go away,
Right.
right? Except for a few people. And when I looked at those people, they tended to be people that were like, I don't know, they had their own mental issues. It seemed,
Mm.
so that they were like little fragile characters,
Mm.
and I just thought it was weird.
Mm. We
One thing that was
touched on this in a previous podcast. I'll keep it really really brief. Is that if you're ADHD and you want a better way to mask than actually partner who is a narcissist, because you and utterly by narcissist, and it can be to it can be a draw, a magnet to actually spend time or even be in a relationship with a narcissist, if that's your
yeah, yeah. Um,
okay.
One thing that my mum, and I think this is the start of it. My mum had always told me that I was a mistake, right?
Right.
That my mum and dad, they kind of met. She was in a married marriage. She got married quite young, and then she got divorced. Then she met my dad, and she got pregnant, and then they had to get married. Like 2 months after they. I think I was married. I think my parents got married about 2 months before I was born.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and she always said that I was a mistake, right?
Right.
And that my brother was planned because they went, okay, well, we've got one, let's have two, right?
Mm.
And then much
Did she actually
later,
she used the word mistake, or did she say it in a nicer way?
no, a mistake. I was
Okay.
I was a
Yeah.
mistake, um,
That's
which
so shit, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
right, which took me years to kind of process in my brain, and
Right.
then eventually it popped out much later. So I was at maybe my 20s or 30s or something, um, and I said, "Mum, do you remember?" No, and I confronted her about it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "You always told me that I was a mistake for my entire life," and then she denied it and said I was
Okay.
making things up. And I thought that was the first time I thought
Mm.
that's weird. She said it like a billion
Yeah.
times to me. But why
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
gaslighting me about it?
Yep.
Um, and as I kind of went on into my adult life, and I left home and I got a divorce, and my mum was very disappointed in me. I was always the golden child, if you like. There was me and my brother. Um, I was the kind of favored one for quite a long time, and then I got a divorce, and then I was not the golden child anymore. I was like I was a bad reflection on her and the family. Yeah. Eventually, my mum turned everyone against me, like my brother, everyone. So she basically just kind of got everyone on her side. I was the bad guy, um,
Jesus.
and that was it. And it kind of came to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm just done with you. I'm done with you.
Yeah.
So my contact with her was very. I I sort of limited it quite a lot.
So this is
I didn't
what? Is this
exactly go.
about 20 years ago?
So this is coming up 20 years ago. So from that point
Right.
onwards, my contact with my mum was very light. Um, and when I went to the UK, because I moved to the States in that time, but when I moved to the UK, no, when I went back to the UK to visit people, I wouldn't stay at her house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I just didn't want to deal with all of her crap. So I would stay in a hotel. Um, And then my dad died, and then that's when it all really started to kind of unravel. Because
It's a year ago.
oh God,
Your
no,
dad died.
that's a few years now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah, it's like
Okay.
say 4 or 5 years, maybe more. Um, and I can remember
Okay.
at the funeral, I said to my brother, I said, just be careful because mum is going to like want to replace her husband with you
Yeah.
because he lived in the UK, I lived in the US, so I had
Yeah.
distance. Um, and he didn't. I don't. At the time, it didn't really sink in, but after a while, he realised that oh God, yeah, he just got replaced.
Mm.
So
No,
my
that's a
mum just
classic
replaced
narcissist
him.
thing, isn't it? They need someone in their lives that they can,
Right?
that
Yeah.
that can mirror the kind of narcissism that they have inside them. It's like a vent it. And actually, one of the most frustrating parts about it is often they'll treat everyone else really nicely. They'll be like charming to everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So charming to everyone else, but she needed her narcissistic supply. So my
Right.
my brother was like was the next in line for that. And bless his heart, he is the most loving, lovable boy man in the world. Right?
Hmm.
He is a great guy, and he he just likes to kind of get along and see the good side in people.
Hmm.
But even he w- just eventually blew his top. Like
Hmm.
my mum would just would 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 just she would complain about people. She would just moan all the time, right? Moan,
Hmm.
and in the end, my brother blew his top, and he just shouted at her. Right? He stood up and he was like, "I can't." He shouted at her, and then he walked, and then walked out. And my mum obviously turned against him, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
he became like the evil person,
Hmm.
and weirdly swapped me around, and then I became the good person, and then he became the
Right.
evil person, and then
Right.
she turned all of the family against him, right? And
Jeez.
even though it was totally against her best in interest, because she at this point she's like in her 80s, right? She's not got
Hmm.
many years left in her. She was diagnosed with cancer, so she didn't have. So she needed the support
Mm.
of her son, but chose to kind of go into this narcissistic fucking thing and
Because
just
it's stronger than them, isn't it? I always think that even narcissists, they have some deep down in, there is a little tiny voice, a very silent voice, is asking themselves questions about what they're doing, but it's a tiny voice, but it is there, right? But they can't help it. It's way stronger than than
right,
it's a lifelong habit.
right. Yeah, and we'll kind of get onto that more as
Mm.
as we go. I mean, she had this list of things that she had a list of people and then who was going to get what, like because she had cancer, so she knew that her time was
Hmm.
short, so she would go, right, I want all of these things to go to this person, I want my sister to have this or whatever, right? And all depending on who'd pissed her off or who was in a good books or bad
Right.
books, she would cross people out, right?
Mm.
Cross people out and
Okay.
then change what they had. So
Wow.
and or if they were nice to her, she would go back onto the list again. These
Hmm.
people would go back on
Wow.
the list. It was this ridiculous
Bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, my brother and me were cut out of the will, which is fine by me and my brother because we don't want an effing thing. So that is a very, very short version story time of me and my brother.
Story
time. Now let's get into ADHD and narcissism. So if you have ADHD, right, you can forget things. Like you can forget birthdays, you can forget anniversaries because you're because you're time blind, right? And you could be self-absorbed into something else, right?
Yeah.
And you forget. And narcissists will also forget. They will also forget special events. But the difference is that you'll feel guilty and you'll feel mortified if you forgot someone's birthday, right? But a narcissist won't because they have no empathy.
Yeah. Also, narcissists have zero ability to reflect on their behavior.
They will reflect on their behavior only in as far as could I manipulate someone else better?
Right.
Could I? Is there something better that I could have done to make the outcome of some situation better for them?
Because narcissists are predators.
Yeah, they need their narcissistic supply.
Yeah.
Also, an ADHD person can, as I said, feel self-absorbed and distant, and and almost kind of, as I say, that we are very empathetic, but it can seem like we don't care about the other person, right? It from
be
the
empathetic,
outside.
but we might be empathetic, but sometimes not very good at communicating. How communicate. Okay, we're back, I think.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
I think we're back. Yeah,
that
okay, back. Hurrah.
That was a big silence.
Yeah, okay, we're back, I think.
Yeah, also, yeah. Also, ADHD people can create drama, and that's because stimulated and we lack dopamine, and we can create drama. We can create arguments, and it comes out of a place of being kind of bored, almost, and understimulated. Whereas a narcissist will create drama and arguments on purpose. They will do it
totally
purposefully.
Yeah. But narcissists will do anything. They'll use all the tools, mental tools that they have to hand, or to mind in this case. They'll do anything to be the center of attention, often, even if it's toxic and nasty.
Yeah. Like, I mean, one toxic thing, this is really about more about people in relationships, is the whole love bombing thing at the
Right.
So when you meet someone, if you have ADHD, it can be quite an intense experience, right? It's a very almost kind of overwhelming period of a relationship where you hyperfixate on someone, you're all about them, and you want to know all about them, and that's because you are genuinely interested and you kind of really want to kind of be part of their lives. But narcissists do this love bombing thing to strategically win you over because it works, and also to kind of find out, so they'll be asking lots of questions about you, but really they're doing it to find on you so that they can use that on you later.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that the big difference here is just intent. Like some of these things can look like ADHD, but actually it's the intent behind what you're doing or your behavior that is the difference. The intent of
I always think that
narcissist is
often have
not good.
Powerful instinct to how to spot weaknesses in people, and they will home in on it, and they will manipulate and you know gain power from that situation. I mean, there's just really powerful instinct. I mean, they're really good at it. You can never underestimate how it's how powerful they can be. Sometimes in perhaps very subtle ways, but in very subtle but strong ways.
Right. Yeah. No, and people with ADHD and also like my dad, who might be autistic, can kind of get pulled into these relationships because they feel like they are, that someone loves them, and you've probably kind of come from a place of like, where you aren't feeling great about yourself and someone else is saying how good you are and how fantastic you are. And when you do something, that if you do something that the narcissist doesn't like, and the narcissist says, "Oh, you're just being too sensitive." For example, you're quite, as an ADHD, you're quite conditioned to hearing that from loads of other people, right? Of how crap you are because you forgot someone's birthday, or so you're used to hearing all of this crap. So it kind of flies under the radar a little bit.
Double-edged sword as well is that often, like me, in my past I've been too much of a people pleaser. So it's like a real double-edged sword. It's even worse, as long as you you can be gaslit, and you go on and on, sometimes months or even years, where you've suddenly, pop out the other end and start recognize what's actually happening.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's that's the thing. I mean, even when you have a narcissist, when you're a son or a daughter of a narcissist in the family, all of that, they know so much about you. They know all the buttons to push.
Right.
They can control you. You're stuck in the house. They will turn everyone against you. They know exactly how to manipulate you. Oh boy, yeah. Anyway, so let's go on to some types of narcissists, according to Melissa Prusco, Psych D. So there is a whole bunch, and I think it's kind of worth going through just to kind of go, oh, do you, the listener, recognize any of these people in your life? So the first one is the grandiose. This is the classic. Right. This is the stereotypical one that you think of. They're arrogant, they're entitled, they're charming, they're grandiose, superficial, vain, right? That's what you think of them, and they can be quite charming and successful.
Yeah, people. Trump comes to mind. It's classic.
Right. And when these individuals are disappointed, they exhibit rage. I mean, they get very angry.
Yeah.
Then there's the kind of then there's one that's more like my mum. So this is the covert narcissist.
Yes.
This is where they don't have that necessarily have that big grandiosity, but it is more about a lack of empathy and entitlement, hypersensitivity, passive aggressive behavior, resentment, insecurity, low levels of
passive aggression
self-esteem.
is. I've dealt with narcissists in my life. I've also dealt with passive aggressive people. I have to say, passive aggressive one of the most difficult things I've ever ever had to manage in my life in people. So okay, covert
It's
narcissist, yeah.
It's very difficult because when it's very difficult, especially if you have autistic traits as well, to kind of like decode that.
Right.
When
exactly.
someone's being passive, because it's like
it's like rabbit in the headlights saying, "What the fuck?" You know.
It's just like I don't understand.
Like,
I don't
what
understand.
the hell?
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
passive
I mean,
aggressive.
so these go on.
You know.
Yeah.
I'd rather deal with someone who's like overtly narcissist, personally.
Yeah. So this person frequently engages in projection. So and they will accuse the other person that they're talking to as being the aggressive one instead of their own behavior. So my mum would always do this. So when my brother lost his temper at her, which was so rare, like I can, it was probably like one of the few times that he ever did. It was always his fault. Everything was his fault, right? And then she just used the fact that he snapped as she accused him of he wanted to kill her, right? I would be dead if I didn't protect myself. He was going to kill me, right? This is someone who has never lost his temper at her, but just did, and then just shouted at her, and then it was his fault.
Martin?
He was the bad person.
When did you give your mum the name of narcissism? How far back does that go?
Oh well, yeah, because that's the question, right? Is that so? This type of narcissism is more likely to be associated with an abusive childhood, and we'll kind of come on to how you create a narcissist. But yeah, so likely, I think I have to kind of go back to her parents. So she was the youngest of two daughters. Her older sister was a lot older, and she left home at the first opportunity that she had to kind of get out.
Right, there you go.
She went out, and then she left her alone with her mum and dad. Now she always said that she didn't have much relationship with her dad, but she loved her mum to bits. And I still can't quite work out which of those two it was. I suspect it was the mum, to be honest. But honestly, yeah. But and I think that knowing that a narcissist doesn't you don't choose narcissism. Well, you choose it when you're so young that you don't really know what it's a way to kind of get through of a trauma of a traumatic experience when you're young. So she effectively didn't choose it. So that's where I got to. If we want to kind of close off on my mum, it's that I kind of went no contact with her pretty much. My brother is currently no contact with her at all, very rare. And I just came to a place where I just felt sorry for her, kind of. It was a thing that she didn't want. It's a wasted life.
It's a shit, hand of cards. Is that the expression? To be dealt with.
Yeah.
It is. I mean,
yeah.
God. I mean, you miss out. Narcissists miss out on the most precious things in life, and it's in that respect, I do really feel sorry for them. To a certain extent, there's a limit to my sympathy or empathy.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
So let's get onto the next type, which is the malignant narcissist. This is the most toxic type of narcissism. So this is someone who takes the grandiose narcissist. So they're kind of quite big personality, charming, but they have this kind of exploitative, antagonistic, Machiavellian, almost like psychopathic overlay.
Okay.
They drive people to the edge and then leave them feeling betrayed, fearful, manipulated, tricked. They appear quite charming, but they don't have any remorse whatsoever. So they build a power in the relationship, and then they just abuse it. They just see people as a means to an end, and these people are scary to try and leave because they use fear of what they might do. So if you leave them, they will. You kind of think, what, this person is going to wreak havoc in my life if I leave.
Or they get desperate. That word.
Right. The other type is the communal type. Now, this is a tactic that my mum used. So she was a nurse. She was she came over as a caring person, and and later in her life she would join animal help groups, and she would foster dogs, and she was all part of that. But really, all of this kind of came from this communal narcissist type, which is someone who engages in these kind of do good things
to make themselves feel better and say, "There you go. I told you I was a good person."
Yeah,
it's like gaslighting.
They're all about. Well, yeah, because they're all about what they do for others and the less fortunate and charity.
Yeah.
And then they draw attention to what the good that they do, so they can sit back and they expect validation from others. And
like we were saying before, the narcissism often is very concentrated and focused on sometimes one, but maybe only two people in their lives, and to everyone else, they just seem like charming and generous people.
Yeah. No, I mean, so outside of the home, they could be this, this very altruistic person who just wants the kind of best for the world, but then at home they are the opposite, the complete opposite.
Yeah.
there is also a. I'm going to go on to. There are other types, but I'm going to skip to the generational narcissist or the cultural
Ooh.
narcissist. Now, this is this may not even necessarily be a narcissist type. So this is
Okay.
it's a form of narcissism, kind of. So this is when. So when you think back to your parents or your grandparents, you kind of go, well, yeah, this is what the world was like then, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
what it was. This is how everyone was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it kind of so the times that people were in, or that your parent was in, or whatever, um, that ends up creating a trauma from their life that feels narcissistic, that 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 almost becomes like narcissism. So for example, so whether it's your parents or whatever, your grandparents could have been kind of come out of, and it's typically comes out of this kind of have or have not have or have not cultures. So
Mm-hmm.
if you lack money or social status, or as a result of racism or colonialism, or you have this insecurity in you about
Mm-hmm.
these things that you need, right?
Yeah.
Money, social status, or whatever. So narcissism becomes an adaptive trait, um, so that you can keep power, you know
Yeah.
so that you can try and keep your social status, and it ends up that your behaviors end up lack empathy, or
Mm-hmm.
and you can dehumanize other people and treat them as indispensable, as a means to an end.
Right.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
often it's like
So
if you grow
so
up
you
with
kind
someone
of
that's a narcissist and you don't have maybe positive examples that you see in your daily life about how to manage difficult situations, you're going to grow up copying what you see and what you see actually seems to work, to survive. Bit like love, if you grow up in
yeah.
a loveless family, you've never seen a good example of love. Is how could you live that out? How can you live out a good example of love?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've had an important person in your life, parent, grandparent, that displays these narcissistic traits, you know,
Mm-hmm.
through purely through a tough childhood themselves, but not may not necessarily be narcissistic, but it could be. But the trauma feels like it. Then yes, so that affects the the next generation, right? Which brings me to
Yeah.
narcissists in the family. Narcissists in the
The family.
family.
We should have sounds like a jingle.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, we should just definitely have a narcissist in the family jingle. Yeah, and that's because that's where you get, what you're talking about, this intergenerational trauma and narcissistic
Mm.
abuse, and they're both two complicated and interconnecting issues that can have a big, profound impact on people.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about
Yeah.
intergenerational trauma, I'm going to say, so this refers to the transmission of trauma from one generation to the next through patterns of
Mm-hmm.
behavior and belief and attitudes that
Mm.
are passed down through the family, right? So if you do have a narcissist in your family, as you say, you can kind of like, oh, is that how adults are? Is that how I'm supposed to be? And you mimic your
Right.
parents, and
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the narcissistic abuse. On the other hand, is a form of emotional and psychological abuse that is characterized by a pattern of manipulation, control, and exploitation with someone with a narcissistic personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the pure narcissist in the family.
Right.
thing.
Yeah. It was just you can see how, if there's a pattern of narcissism in a family, and let's face it, the easiest way to respond, to react to a narcissist is to copy them, because you don't have if you haven't had an alternative kind of example that's more positive in your life. And so it could, as you say, the pattern can go on through generations. And at some point,
Right.
someone pops up in a second, third, or fourth generation and said, "No, I'm not gonna have. It's gonna stop with me." You know, but that takes a lot of courage
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh
and
yeah,
sensitivity.
narcissists are particularly difficult to get away from,
Yeah.
especially if you fear them, or if they're your family, because society places so much emphasis on, you know, the family is everything, and you
Mm,
should be there for your family. But
mm-hmm.
but when one but when the family's is actually toxic,
Yeah.
you know no, like
Yeah.
you you have to get out. But like I did, I had to abandon every family member that I had to pretty much abandon, right, as a person. And it wasn't until my brother, his relationship with mum broke down, that I could go, that I had a way in, and I could go,
Okay.
hey bro, um all this stuff that is happening,
Mm-hmm.
this is why, right? And then the penny would start to drop, right? I mean, he would fight everything and go, no, 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 it isn't like that. And then at some point he'd go, oh yeah, no, it's exactly like that. um and that took a while. And then I I'm the black sheep of the family. I turn him into a black sheep of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start talking about our mum to other people, and then we all start becoming black sheep of the family. And my mum's the only sheep left.
Right.
She's the only, and she becomes the black sheep. Like,
Yeah.
it's taken, that process has taken, you know a good
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah. And apparently, once a narcissist, always a narcissist. They don't change their spots generally. I once heard a psychologist say to suggest to people um, that oh, if you're in a toxic narcissist relationship, she said, "There's nothing I can do for you. Get out of it." It
Yeah,
literally that black and white for her. Obviously, it's different
yeah.
for sons and daughters, but in relationships, she just said, "Get out of it." She, I've heard other psychologists say, "I've had narcissists as a patient, um, and there's not much you can do with them.
No,
It's
no.
very rare you
General
could turn it around. It's very extremely
Right.
rare."
And I know that there are people in therapy for it who do seek help, but they are the very rare few.
Yeah,
Um, and if you suspect someone in your relationship is a narcissist, then
yeah,
my gut reaction is always get out, get out, get out, get out,
mm, yeah.
get out,
Or
get out.
one thing, there are some really good books out there about narcissism. So once you give it a name, get informed about it, and then you can see it. You see the pattern, you understand how to deal with it, or
Mm-hmm.
understand how to deal with it. Moreover, so
Yeah.
yeah, get informed as
Make a
well. Don't just like,
make a plan
you're a fucking
and protect
narcissist, get out of my
yourself.
life. It could be something else.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm all for getting a plan together, protecting yourself, and then one
Yeah.
day you just change the bank, you just move money, you just
Hmm.
grab your passport, you grab
Yeah.
the stuff that you need, and you get out.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially for women, but not exclusively at
no,
all.
no, no. So right, because like, uh, yeah. So I was talking earlier about, that my mum could not hold any nuanced perception of people. Like they were either all
Okay.
good or they were all bad, right?
Polarized. Yeah.
Generally, they just she couldn't ever see like two sides of the of an argument. She couldn't hold two sides of an argument in her head at the same time. It was either like one
Yeah.
or the or the other.
Yeah.
Um, and that and in the end, what you end up with is that if you're a child of a narcissism, is that you end up being either the golden child or the scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
You end up being one of those two. And for most of my life, I was the golden child. So if you're the
Mm-hmm.
golden child, you're idealized, and you will tend to ally with 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 the narcissist parent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'll go, yeah, my mum's my favorite, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
how it was. Which is why I think when my mum says that her mum was her favorite, I'm thinking, yeah,
Mm.
that's why I'm thinking that it was her mum that was the
It's very
problem.
common to
You know,
protect those people because that's the ultimate um, the ultimate kind of disloyalty towards a narcissist parent is to call them out or even recognize them. So just to
oh God, yeah,
play their game in the end and put them on a pedestal.
oh, absolutely, yeah. So as the golden child, you then have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Which, if you have ADHD, means like if it becomes a lot of pressure on you to be like the perfect kid, right? To be
Yeah.
to do everything well, to be a good reflection of your mum, of your
Yeah.
parent, of your dad, or whoever it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Toe the line.
Um, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, so that because if you're a good kid, then that means that the parent is a good parent, right?
Yeah.
And they want everyone to think they are a good parent.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure to put on
Mm-hmm.
on on your kid. And the problem for the golden child is that their real self, their real kind of self, if you like, is not accepted by the parent. Like the narcissistic parent doesn't want the real you to come out.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to be a little mini me of the
Exactly.
narcissist. My mum would say she knew exactly what I was thinking up until a certain point in my
Mm-hmm.
life when I broke free. But up until then, she felt like I was her.
Yeah.
She would dress me up as a girl when I was really young. There's a photo of me in a dress
Right.
because she wanted me to be her.
Wow.
So the fact that I didn't get accepted as a parent, this creates a split
Mm-hmm.
in the golden child, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can either become one of two things. You either become this, what they call the impaired self, or the narcissistic adapted self. So the impaired
Right.
self is when the parent projects onto the child the unwanted aspects of
Mm-hmm.
themselves, like helplessness
Mm-hmm.
and
Exactly.
hopelessness. The when the child tries to become their own self, it will be attacked by the
Yep.
parent.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So you
Yeah.
end up feeling like an impaired person. You feel
Mm-hmm.
you're the problem. You feel
Yeah.
bad. You feel shame. You feel weak.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you end up kind of like just going like totally inside you,
Mm-hmm.
and you actually require other people to process feelings for them. It's like you just kind of split from the real you, and you don't
Yeah.
and you need other people to kind of like process the world for you.
Yeah. But that sounds
so
like
yeah,
the psychopathy is a lot to do with that. They lose the ability of actually developing their own reactions to things, and they have to copy other
right,
because they've never been taught how to.
right. So I would feel like that's the side that I went down from golden child to an impaired self, where where my sense of shame and feeling weak and all of that and people pleasing and all that kind of so that all kind of like that syncs up with that side. Now the other side, which I think is where my mum went down, is the narcissistic adapted self. So this is where the child feels that the abandonment depression and fights back by creating a grandiose false self, which is admired by the narcissistic parent, right? So it's like, oh, okay, I will just mimic, I will just be like
A manifestation of
narcissist.
of what you think they want from you.
Right. So that they end up like they mirror the perfect narcissist adapted.
Yeah.
They they mirror it back to the parents. So it's like a defense, right? So it's like I'll put this mirror up that I'll hide behind that is me that they like. Yeah, and the problem is that
that mirroring dynamic is one of the best definitions I've ever heard of narcissism. You know that they need to produce like someone who will mirror their own deepest fears.
Yeah. And then this person can then only have relationships based on being able to maintain that narcissistic defense. So they end up just looking like a narcissist and behaving like one because that was their way through having a narcissistic parent. Themselves was just a copy, as we were saying. That causes all kinds of problems. Now, so the other one, so as we were saying, if you have a narcissistic parent, you're either good or bad. You're either the golden child or you're the scapegoat. And I turned into the scapegoat. So I started off as golden, and I turned into this person, where I am devalued, seen as the cause of all of the family problems. And this leads to kind of complex PTSD, chronic people pleasing, codependency, other personality disorders. Plus, it's the I mean, like it's the better place of the two as far as I'm concerned, because at least, well, I ended up being golden child, self-impaired golden child, and then ended up being scapegoat. And I managed to kind of get out of it just by, I think when everyone rejects you, you end up forcing yourself to find out who you are as a person. Right? Yeah. You kind of go, well, okay, everyone has disowned me.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, I'm on my own now. Who am I?
Like him, there's like through the back door, there's actually something positive came out.
Yeah.
You
And as I've seen with my brother, how, like when he started to see the narcissism, I went, oh God, yeah. I mean, I could recruit him, right? So the scapegoat is the only person who is able to stop the generational trauma that they can. They're the only ones who can see what is going on. They're the only ones that actually have the power to do anything.
Right.
So the narcissistic parent will not like the scapegoat because the problem, and they'll push them away and they'll turn the family against them.
Betrayal. the ultimate betrayal, isn't it?
Right.
If you're not
Right.
mirroring, you're
And
betraying.
it's also and it's a defense for the narcissist to kind of push that person away, and to everyone to push that person away. But actually, it gives them the opportunity, the power to see what's going on, and if they choose to do something about it. And it's taken me years, but slowly I've pulled people into what is really going on, and I've
because it's really
and in
hard
the end,
taking on a
my mum is
narcissist.
fairly isolated.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
hard
it takes a
taking on
long
a
time.
narcissist. They're really good at what they do. I mean, really good, right?
Yeah.
You never hear
Thankfully, my mum's a
you never
bit
hear of a narcissist
stupid.
that's a bit kind of a okay, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
no, she's a narcissist, but I say, like I say this, which is like she is very good at one thing, at a very narrow thing, which is like projecting a version of herself to the outside world, and then
Okay.
segregating people off into silos.
Right.
She doesn't want people congregating, any family members herding up together. She'll she'll badmouth everyone to everyone, so that in her mind people will like not trust anyone, right, except her, right? So she'll segregate everyone out. That way she can keep everyone in line, right? And that world building in her head is the only thing that she's good at. Everything else, she's stupid. She's not intelligent at all. But what in that very narrow area, she is king. And you can't, as you were saying, it's very difficult to fight against someone when that thing, when that game is their life,
Right.
and they know it so well. They are like master chess champions, all right?
Yeah.
They will outmaneuver you, and you can't. It's not good to necessarily fight them at their own game. You
Which
need
goes back to what we
another
were saying
way.
about some psychologists saying if you're in a relationship that you can get out of, get it, because you won't win it.
No.
No.
No. No. All right. So I hope that's been quite. I mean, it's a big subject. I'm sure we will come back to it. But
I was just thinking now's probably, I don't know if it now seems to be a good point to like mention the Gabor Mate's kind of view on this, that he thinks that ADHD only comes out is actually is purely trauma management and is not genetic at all. I think he's wrong. The first time I heard that, I thought he might be right, and then that was about 12 years ago. 12 months ago. Read his book and everything. Then after that, got a ADHD diagnosis. I think my personal view on it is ADHD is 100% genetic. If not, it's 90%. But you know, and actually, the problem from I think is that if you have a narcissism in your life, in your history, especially in your developing years, it can make your ADHD a lot more difficult. You know, it's a lot more difficult to manage. And I think the two. I don't think it's black and white. I think it's that they actually, you know, live with or ADHD, and you have to deal with it that way worse than it needs to be. You know.
oh yeah.
If you've already got people pleasing, just one subject, one example. If you've got a propensity to be a people pleaser, and you've got to deal with a narcissistic parent.
Yep. No, I've it's I think back about me. I think, good Lord, how did I manage to even get through to where I am now? Because if you've got ADHD or your LDHD and and you're dealing with narcissism in the family,
Yeah.
it feels like how if it's I'm it's a real struggle, and unless you're there, and I know some
Mm.
people I know are there, you don't realize how
Mm.
unbelievably scarring and difficult life
Yeah.
becomes, and how weird, and you just think that you're like the worst person on the earth.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you end up doing bad things, like
Mm-hmm.
relationships and breaking up and
Yeah.
causing harm in your life
Yeah.
because you're kind of because of all this stuff. And you think, well, okay, I am that bad, I am that
Mm.
horrible, because
Mm-hmm.
look at my life, look at the carnage, look at
Yeah.
the devastation I've left behind. It's
Mm-hmm.
not till later that you kind of go, oh, hang on a sec,
Yeah.
it's not me. This is just me trying to
Survive.
get survive
Yeah.
survive in a narcissistic family when everyone's
Yeah.
against you, um, and
You did
the
what you could with
trauma
the
that
tools that you
causes.
had,
Right.
and
And they
yeah.
were shitty tools
Right.
until
Right.
until I managed to make better tools.
Right. It's when
Um,
you get a flat pack
and
from
to
IKEA, and all you've got is like is an Allen key,
right,
and what you want
bastards.
is a saw. You
Um,
want a saw or a hammer.
yeah. I mean, so
Yeah.
yeah. So like I could go on, but I will just close it out by saying, think of a narcissist as you say, there is just a little voice in there somewhere, a little early voice, a little child voice inside them that knows that what they are doing is wrong, but that voice is tiny.
Mm.
And in fact, what the narcissist is mostly is just an outward projection of a personality that they've managed to cobble together
Mm-hmm.
from
Yeah.
their childhood and other people and friends and things, that they've managed to kind of build this facade of
Mm.
a real person, when in fact it's not there, that
Yeah.
there is no one there. And that if you, like, it's this house of cards, and if you threaten to knock it over, they will come at you with everything they've got, because
Oh
they are
God.
basically in fear
They
of
have
their
to.
own lives.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
a narcissistic,
Because otherwise
narcissistic
they've got nothing left. There's nothing left if they
no,
haven't got that.
no, if you attack them,
Mm-hmm.
they will come after you with everything they've got.
Yeah.
So I generally don't advise ever attacking or confronting or even picking apart their lies in front of them. It is generally better to just ignore, go away, make a plan, do something else. Like trying to fight it, as I said, it's their ninja game, um,
Yeah.
and you will lose. You will lose if you fight it. Just
Yeah.
go
Totally.
somewhere else. In time, you will be slightly more sympathetic. You will go, okay, right, well, it's a childhood trauma that they had, that that they didn't choose, and so I feel sorry for them. So my mum is on a deathbed currently. She will be dead, um, you know, this year for sure. Um, if she sees Christmas, it will be something. Um, and I'm okay with with that. I feel sorry for her that she had the life that she had, but she mostly thinks that the life that she had was a genuine life, when it wasn't really.
I mean,
She
empathy is really hard when you're talking about narcissists. But if you do
mhm.
find some empathy, the only thing is that really is like I feel really sorry for them because they miss out on the best things in life. Empathy.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's I end up feeling sorry for them, but I still
Yeah,
keep them. It that doesn't mean that I accept them. You know, my mum will always be my mum, but you know, but she will. There will always be, you know, I've I've put a lot of distance between me and her, and that I'll be fine when she's gone. I'll
yeah.
be fine.
I've often heard it said distance is the only way of dealing with them. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. How to spot a narcissist if you have ADHD. We can zip through these. Um, so yeah. So as we were saying, if you have ADHD, you can be susceptible to a narcissist, or if you uh, if you're a son or a daughter of a narcissist, this still applies. So number one, look for signs of manipulation, because narcissists will use clever manipulation to meet their own needs at the expense of yours or other people. Um, two, notice their lack of empathy. We were talking about this earlier, right? A defining feature of them is the lack of empathy for others' feelings, different
Mhm.
from, you know, which is different from ADHD's emotional dysregulation, which we talked about
Yes, in the
last week.
last episode,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Number three, observe their need for attention. Narcissists will often seek attention and admiration to validate their self esteem, contrasting with ADHD individuals who might seek interaction due to impulsivity.
Hmm.
So, you know, as an ADHD, you know, we might interact. Well, seek interactivity, seek interaction due to impulsivity. Also, as I said earlier, due to you might just be low to dopamine and kind of need a so you're just bored. You just like
Hmm.
you just want attention. Um, Whereas a narcissist will be all about it for just to validate their own self
Yeah.
esteem. Number four, look for signs of entitlement. So entitlement is a key symptom of narcissism. Involves unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with a narcissist's expectations. Um, you know that they expect you to behave how they want you to behave, um, and with no empathy towards you or what you want. It's about your compliance with them. Um, Notice their lack of accountability. You know, they rarely accept blame,
Yeah.
often attributing faults or failures to external factors or others. This is
That's a
my
big
my
one.
mum never accepted blame for nothing, for nothing.
Absolutely.
Um, right, and they will only accept blame, I think, in when things get really, really bad and everything's fallen apart. The best my mum could manage was, well, six of one, half dozen of the other. Let's just call it
Right.
even, and we'll just
Yeah.
forget about it and move on. Right, that was the best that she could do.
Right.
Was just to admit equal blame,
Right.
so that and then just bury the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I know that another one is that sometimes a narcissist um, will, if they're really trapped, they would go, "Oh yeah, it's all my fault. It's all my fault," and they will accept the blame. But then, pretty soon after that, they will start to kind of build themselves back up again and start explaining it all away to other things.
It's always
Um,
it'll turn into some form of manipulation, whatever it is.
Yes, and the whole, if a narcissist accepts blame, it's just another, as you say, it's another manipulative thing. They're just saying it just to get you off their
Yeah.
back. Um, and then the last one that I added in, which was an assumption that everyone's motives are like their own. Like they think that other people think like them. So,
Right.
for example, if I if I did a kind thing, if I did a nice thing for someone, if you have ADHD and someone's in trouble, right, you kind of go, oh, well, I'll help you out. I'll help you out somehow. And the narcissist will then say, well, what did you gain? You just did that so that you would look good, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't see that I would just do it out of kindness.
Right.
They would
Yeah.
think
Mm-hmm.
that I was getting something out of it.
Got it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then that's
Yeah.
like, so they assume that everyone thinks like them.
Because they can't understand this.
All right.
There are different wavelengths, right? And they don't understand is everyone's on it. They think everyone's on FM, you know, when actually there's a hell lot of people out there that are on long wave and medium wave and short wave.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. They don't. Yeah, we. Yeah. Yeah. No. They. All right. All right. Cool. Yeah. I mean. Yeah. It is definitely. If you think that you have a narcissist in your life, yeah. Um. Get. Yeah. Do your research. You can't confront them. This isn't a
No.
thing to confront someone with. It's just a thing to kind of go, oh, okay, this person feels like they have um, narcissistic personality disorder, um, and then act, and then kind of work out how you are going to kind of protect
Mm-hmm.
yourself and make sure
Yeah.
that you're okay, because
Exactly.
generally, apart from my dad, who, as I said, was autistic and just seemed to um, manage to find a manage to find a relationship that worked. Um, yeah, but I mean, he wasn't emotionally there for me or for anyone. So I think that my mum could keep him in line because he was um, he had his little special interests, but
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he was a really nice guy as well. He was just a really really nice guy that I think
Mm-hmm.
just ended up with my mum, who
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is these discussions, really it's like parenthood. When my parents or your parents, when they were first started having a family, there's no concept of parenthood. It's only now we've become, more informed, and luckily, we've become more informed, we've become educated. Your dad didn't even know that there was a name for it. Probably,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and people were just more in those days. There's a huge difference in our last couple of generations. People just they're a lot, in the past more than we do now. You know,
yeah. So someone with NPPD could definitely hide a lot better in the past. And as I said, there's a questionable narcissistic type, which is the generational type, which is
yeah,
basically the narcissistic traits that come out of
yeah.
someone, a
I think,
product of their time.
and I think as children from narcissistic parents, they just like, oh, it
Yeah,
a choice now. In
yeah. All right.
okay,
Okay. All right. So let's draw a line under that. I think. I think we'll skip reading out comments if that's cool, because this has already
yeah,
been quite long.
it's quite a long one.
Um, but I think it's been worth time being spent on this. Um,
No, definitely, and definitely from a in terms of confusing ADHD, well, there's lots of other issues as well. But confusing ADHD and with narcissism, definitely worth avoiding. Just we could all, be more informed, definitely, on many subjects.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to hit the outro and just say that ADHDville is thank you for if you've got this far, thank you so much.
Yes.
We ADHDville is delivered fresh every Tuesday to all purveyors of fine podcasts. Please subscribe.
Yes.
And I've lost the script. Please subscribe.
And rate
Where
us.
did I put?
Subscribe to the pod and rate us magnificent with an exclamation mark. And feel free to correspond at will in the comments. Another exclamation mark. But wait, there's more, says Martin. If you wish to see our beautiful, beautiful faces, especially Martin's,
beautiful.
tally forth to the YouTubies.
Yes.
If you want to pick up a quill, you can email us at adhdville@gmail.com. But in the meantime, Martin's got an outro.
Yeah, just be fucking kind to yourself.
I beseech you, fellow ADHDers, know thyselves, sons and hounds, come hither and get the flesh. Hurrah!
Oh, look at that! We actually made it to the end.
Phew! It's a good job. I didn't involve my history as well. It was gone on for like another hour.
I know, right?